right, good afternoon, everyone. Well, afternoon on the East Coast at least, 1 o'clock here. Hope everyone's doing well. Let some people kind of jump in and join us. But today we're going to talk about how to grow your practice utilizing digital marketing. With busy season coming up, for those practices, especially that offer invasive procedures, cosmetic plastic surgery practices, or even some of the heavier lasers that in med spas that they stay away from during the summertime because of the heat and families wanting to go out to the beach and vacation. We have busy season coming up. We know this, we see the data, and from here on out, we know it's important to have your schedule booked completely full. So today we're going to cover top 5 areas to focus on right now. So, we have an accelerated growth model, and we focus in 3 main areas. That's driving leads, maximizing conversion, and optimizing results. Now, in those, there's multiple subsections, obviously. So we have 9 clear steps to tripling your sales. In driving leads, we want to focus on organic SEO. That's Google Map listing. That's organic SEO results in Google as well. Paid advertising with Google pay-per-click ads, Facebook, Instagram ads, remarketing. Database activation with your past patients or lists that you may purchase that you can text message, email, so on. And maximizing conversion, we want to make sure that once we get that traffic to your website, we are maximizing that conversion rate to make sure you're getting the most out of all of your ad dollars or SEO that you're investing in. Your reputation, build that. That is very important for maximizing conversion rates. The more reviews you have, the better your return, not only in Google and search engines, but also the better your conversion rate will be. And then automation. We want to make sure we can automate a follow-up, instant follow-up to all of your potential leads. That way, within 30 seconds, they can already be followed up with a text message and an email to make sure you really close that potential lead, turn them into a patient, into more profit. And then optimizing results. It's something that's looked over a lot by a lot of practices that we've worked with over the years. And it's a very crucial part, not only to prove the worth that a company like mine provides, but also for you to know what is your ROI. What money are you actually making off of your total marketing advertising spend? And then that helps you set budgets for your pay-per-click ads, for Facebook and Instagram ads, and adjust your total spend. Ideally, if you can book your entire schedule, increase the demand, you can even raise rates from that point. So that's the full circle, and every month you should be going through all 3 of those, back around to driving leads and just optimizing it every month. So for the next 30 to 60 minutes, if you're a plastic cosmetic surgery practice or med spa, and you're serious about growing your practice, this can change your life and help you grow your practice. What we will cover today, we're going to go over top 5 things you should be focused on now as you enter the busy season, possible areas of marketing that are hurting you or maybe mistakes that you've made in the past. There's been major updates of the Google algorithm. In fact, another one just started 2 days ago. We received updates on that today. It's been a huge change, mainly due to AI and artificial intelligence in content writing. We'll go over that later. A quick overview of how each of the top 5 work and suggestions on what you can do now. Ideally, we're covering a lot today. I'm going to try to slam it all in there so that way you have an overview of how it all works together. If at some point you want to learn more about each of these, of how yourself or maybe your marketing or whoever's working internally that can handle this, what they can do for you, you can always go back to our website, aestheticmarketingpartners.com, look up webinars, and each of these areas, there's so many nuances to them. We really need to dive into each one of those, and we have webinars on all of these main areas, and we're adding more each month. Today's purpose is top 5 though, and a quick overview and what you could actually do today. And then also suggestions on the best tools to systematize and automate the heavy lifting for you. So over the last, really since 2007, so was that 16 years now, I've grown multiple award-winning, ADDIE award-winning agencies. We've helped practices like yours all over the country grow. I still own 2 agencies myself. Most recent one is Aesthetic Marketing Partners, where we took basically some of our strongest case studies from my legacy agency, Spectrus, were in the plastic cosmetic surgery and med spa realm. Obviously tons of opportunity, and it's amazing how underutilized digital marketing and advanced digital marketing techniques were in even the larger practices that we worked with. So I've personally worked in virtually every aspect of marketing advertising since 2007. My background originally is computer science. Sometimes I talk a little fast and I get into the weeds on things, so you have to apologize for the ton of caffeine that I drink. I've founded and owned an award-winning full-service agency, 2 of them, since 2012. Have made tens of millions of dollars for our clients. That's the most important part out of all of this. Nothing else matters except for us making our clients more money. That's how marketing and advertising has to work. We have proven results growing practices just like yours. Our mission is very simple. It's a lofty one, but we want 1,000 aesthetic practices between plastic, cosmetic surgery, and med spas in non-competing territories. That's a crucial part. As clients, we want to help 1,000 practices in the United States grow. All right, so top 5 areas to focus on right now to grow your practice. It's a good place to pause for a drink. Number 1. Optimizing your website for converting traffic into patients. Now, this may sound very obvious, and this is a very dumbed down, or you'll be like, this is the stupidest math ever. We're obviously way smarter in this. However, if you just look at the bottom number between scenario 1, where you're only converting 5% of your total visitors per month versus a 15% conversion rate, you're looking at an opportunity of 66,000 leads, $66,000 in leads on the left, versus a 10% increase can produce $201,000. Same amount of visitors to your website. That's a huge jump. That's just from optimizing your website. Focusing on when you get that traffic to your website, turning them into an actual patient. There's 12 critical elements to enhance conversion. Of course, we can go even further into this, but I wanted to break it in to focus on the main ones. So, number 1, we want to speak to your target audience. This is very crucial, especially for when you're running ad campaigns, say from Google, Facebook, Instagram, and it's funneling to a landing page. You want to make sure that whatever you have advertised to sell, whether it's Botox or breast dog or free consultation or whatever it may be, that is the first thing that is said at the top of the page. Not only does that help search engine optimization, because search engines are now crawling all this so in depth to make sure that the content needs to be, what they say, written that a 5th grader can read it. So very straightforward, common English that people, or Spanish, that people can read, understand, and that it matches exactly the funnel they've taken to get to that page. You want to be real. Using authentic images of your team on the homepage and throughout the website is crucial. We see a lot of times where there's tons of stock imagery, and here and there is fine. You can use some stock imagery, of course, that is free of copyrights in certain parts of your website to bring the beauty part of aesthetics to life. However, you really need authentic images of your office, of your team, of your main service providers. They all need to have authentic images right on the homepage, and then team pages for each. Use video and multimedia elements to engage different modalities. So that's a website welcome video. Videos of each of your services. This could be your service provider talking about it. It could be an animated video. Ideally, you want someone real in your office, even if it's an iPhone on a tripod. You need that content to seem very authentic. Not only does it help build your brand trust, help them get to know you as they're doing research into what sort of practice they want to choose to deliver the service they're looking for, but it also slows down the page scroll time and how long each of your potential patients spend on each page of your website. As they're watching a video, common sense tells you if it's a minute video, even if they have a 30-second watch time, that's more than just scrolling through images. So that's going to increase your SEO and how your website returns. You want to leverage social proof. Showcase your online reviews. There's multiple programs you can do this. You can even just put static images on your site that are reviews. You have some programs that can actually funnel the reviews from Google and other sites right into your site and update those when they are posted. That's very, very important to do. We personally like having a call out, like we'll design an image with maybe if the patient's open to it, their actual photo or no photo of them, a name, and multiple reviews written out in a very prominent area on the homepage. Definitely helps build that brand trust. The basics in order. This sounds very common sense, well, duh, but phone number in the right hand corner. It's crucial. It's what people are used to seeing. It's become second nature at this point. You want to be able to get that person to a point of conversion as quickly as possible. You want to ensure that there's web forms customers can fill out. They work, they load quickly, they're easy to use. You don't have some really challenging CAPTCHA, ideally. You don't want any sort of like forced fields that maybe they don't know how to fill out. Definitely checking. And this sounds really dumb, like, well, of course, every form is going to work, but I see this so many times. We have in our standard operating procedures before we launch any site, any update, everything. We go through multiple people test all the forms for that conversion and making sure it actually tracks as well. It's amazing how often that is looked over. And then adding credibility of authority symbols. That's going to be your board certifications, your accreditations, awards, anywhere you've been published, listing to those. That is also very important in your bio pages. That's something that we'll talk about as well with the update of Google's new double E. That's what they're calling it, EEAT. That's their new updated algorithm. One of the big things that all of our clients now that we're going updating for all of them because we have to is for every article we're writing, there needs to be an author that relates back to their team, that has a bio page, that has links to LinkedIn, publications, anywhere to really push the experience. We'll talk about that more, but that's a very important part, to have credibility with authority symbols and even linking back to those sites from your board certifications, accreditations, awards, etc. Ensure you have a clear calls to action on the page. Kind of similar to the number one up here. Want to make sure that each page has a very clear call to action, easy to read, that the potential patient understands, and tell them exactly what to do next. This could be a survey form if you're wanting someone to schedule a consultation. Instead of having a giant form, make it multiple steps, make it very clear, straight to the point. That can increase conversion. Use special offers and coupons that match the service they are in need of. This is especially true whenever you're running an ad for this. Say it's a Facebook, Instagram ad, or it's a suggested offer, or an offer, from Google Business Profile or even from Google Ads. Whenever that goes to the page for that offer to be claimed, you need to have that page match exactly what the ad was. If they click on an ad that's for Botox and they land on a page for just a generic claim our special offer, it's going to lower trust. People are using Google enough now, and of course, in the power of the internet in the palm of their hands, they're used to searching websites, searching Google, crawling the internet, and people have now become accustomed, it's second nature to fill out what feels trustworthy and not. So having those special offers and coupons match exactly what they said are going to be. Make sure your website is mobile optimized and easy click to call function. Of course, with over 60% of all consumers purchasing services or buying products online now from their mobile phone, you have to have a mobile optimized website that's not just optimized for iPhone, Android, etc., for screen size, but also optimized for page load speed. That is a crucial, important part of SEO, and also the faster a page loads, the higher conversion rate will be, because people have very limited focus and attention these days. Leverage live chat. This is something that we offer through our own HIPAA compliant CRM. We can have a live chat on the website. It can have automated replies, or if someone's in the office, it can funnel right to them. You can also now leverage live chat through Google Business Profile, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Start giving clients the option to book online. This is something that can be a pain point for a lot of practices, especially older practices that may have been around 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They've been using the same electronic health record system for a long time now, and that system doesn't offer an online booking portion. That can be a challenge. However, med spas have seen an increase of point-of-sale systems coming out that allow online booking. It's something that we highly suggest, especially for those services that are more common, less consultation needed. That would be like Botox, fillers, PRP, that sort of stuff. So my suggestion, in the next 30 days, pick 3 of those to implement. Monitor analytics before and see what happens. See what it did for you. You should have analytics set up in Google Analytics or some similar program, and you can see how much traffic comes into your website. But then based on the traffic, look at your conversion rate. Now ideally your conversion needs to be set up on click to dial phone numbers, web forms, requests for directions, or if you have the ability to buy products such as like skincare products, that sort of thing, that should be a conversion point as well. That was a lot, and again, we have a whole webinar just on optimizing your website conversion rate. There's a workbook that kind of goes back over what I just said. If you go to go.aestheticmarketingpartners.com/request-workbook, you can download website optimization workbook, hand it to someone in your practice. They can take these suggestions, maybe do a little bit of research, can always schedule a consultation with us, and we can give you an idea on where you currently stand and how you can make these changes yourself. So number 2, we want to focus on SEO. So does SEO still matter? This is a question we get all the time, and it's something that, to be honest, even though it's a 3-letter word, I think I said this exact same thing in the last webinar about SEO, where once again we had a deep dive into SEO and how to get your practice's website optimized for search engines. But yes, even though SEO is a 3-letter word, it is considered a 4-letter word by so many different companies and practices out there. Now, in this simple Google result for Chattanooga Cosmetic Surgery, as you can see, 71% of clicks come from Google Map results and the top organic. That means you've got 29% left, of course, for the ads at the top, but the majority of your clicks are coming from search engine optimized Google Map results and search engine optimized organic results at the bottom. So of course, SEO still matters. If you can be there in organic results, the nice thing is, not only do you have 71% of the clicks, but you're not paying for these. Now, you may be paying for them in a way as far as writing articles, syndicating articles, all the things we're about to go through, off-page SEO, on-page SEO. But you're not paying per click like you are at the top. Only 29% of clicks come at the top. And I'm not saying it's not worth it to be also in Google pay-per-click ads buying very strategic keywords. I think that has a place and a time, and it's something we suggest for all of our clients. However, the long-term goal is to show up in this organic result area, as that's the majority of the clicks, the majority of the conversions. So a new SEO formula, first and foremost, you need to figure out what are the most important keywords based on your services, service area, and search volume, and then focus on those. This means if you're selling breast dogs, Botox, fillers, whatever it may be, having a company or doing it yourself, you can use Google ad tools for this. There's other companies out there that can do it as well. But researching the keywords that apply to your service area. So if you're in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where we're located, within 30 miles of here, what's the search volume for someone looking for breast augmentation or mommy makeover? What words are they searching for? And Google and these other companies can give you suggestions based on trending search volume. You can see if it's ascending or descending based on the demand, help you plan for seasonality. Very important to do that research and get your keyword list nailed down, especially considering the seasonality between plastic cosmetic surgery versus med spa, with the more invasive procedures being done, depending on the place and how far north versus south, but typically September through about March, April. That's the busiest season that we've seen, generalizing the entire country. You need to set up a great website with unique pages targeting those keywords. So each page that you build, which needs to have a page for each of your services, your team, your service area, about your practice, there needs to be keywords in each of those pages. But not just that, your content needs to be written to where a 5th grader could read this. And that's what Google's told us verbatim, not just what I made up. But they want as easy as a 5th grader could read and understand this, but have those target keywords in there, ideally multiple times, and even thinking about where your most important keywords are placed in that page. Optimize your website for user experience. So user experience, that can mean a multitude of things, but a lot of times it can be responsiveness. How does the site and the user experience work on mobile, tablet, and desktop? We know the majority of consumers now are picking services, service providers, and products on their mobile device, so that user experience has to work very fluid. Understanding how a mobile menu can be optimized, understanding how content should lay out based on when a consumer needs to read a trust statement. A trust statement could be this provider had gave me the best service I've ever received in my life. Having that in the right place in each page can really help build that trust and also help the SEO as well. So optimize your site for SEO with on-site optimization. We'll dive into that next. Build your authority with off-site optimization, and then of course tracking your results as you climb up the rankings of Google and other search engines. So on to on-site optimization. So I get asked the question a lot, what's the difference between on-site and off-site optimization? And we'll break down the two. The next page will be off-site optimization. This one's on-site optimization. For on-site, this is going to be all the work you do on your actual website. You're like, duh, Sam, of course. But you want a strong website with good content. You need to leverage, ideally, multimedia content to improve the on-page time. We already kind of spoke about that earlier, but that's the longer someone spends on each page of your website, the more trust Google is going to see that your website has, and the higher you're going to return. So having videos of behind the scenes, meet the team, descriptions of the services from the service provider on each page of the site, even though it's a lot of labor, there's ways to shorten that labor. Film it with an iPhone in your practice. It doesn't need to be a ton of, perfect movie quality edit. A lot of times we'll get the feedback like, well, shouldn't this be like a professional edit? That the amount of money it costs to do a high quality edit is typically not worth the investment based on what you'll get the same result from. iPhones film great, so putting those on each page of your website would be ideal. Each page, there should be a page for each of your services. That's pretty obvious. One thing to think about is the hierarchy and the sitemap. So if it's yourdomain.com, it should be /services/ the actual service itself. If you have a cosmetic surgery or plastic surgery side and then a med spa side, you should build out that URL structure to where Google can clearly see you have multiple levels of services. You should have, this one kind of opens up another can of worms, to be honest, because you can see here, must have unique content for each of the city pages. So city pages for, this would apply more if you're a practice in Atlanta, Chicago, New York, and there are suburbs that are large enough that you can focus on those suburbs. Now in Chattanooga, that kind of applies. We're about 385,000 people in the county here, but we get down into North Atlanta, we get into South Nashville, South Knoxville pretty quickly. It can be worth it to build a different page for each of the cities or suburbs that you're focusing on, and then have that page be like, for us, it could be Cleveland, Tennessee plastic surgery, Cleveland, Tennessee med spa. But you must have, for each of those pages you build, unique content. For on-site optimization, where this comes in is for each of those pages, Google will be reading that as Cleveland, Tennessee plastic surgery, and then your the top words on your page can be Cleveland, Tennessee plastic surgery, and then go into all the services under that. As Google crawls that, that's going to help build proof that you actually service Cleveland, Tennessee. Where this comes in handy is if you only have one practice office, one location, say it's for us in the center of Chattanooga, Cleveland's 35 miles away, your SEO tends to drop off on a local result, especially on local maps, the further out you get. And so having that page for that city, that can help increase that Google map result further out and help you pick up those cities outside of maybe your immediate office location. So like I just said, unique content in every page, not just the city pages, but every page. Keyword in the title and H1. This is something that can be challenging to do, especially when I've mentioned before, like it needs to be said in a way that a fifth grader can understand it. But the first and main content is called the H1, and it's a programming tag put in your site. If you have someone managing your site currently, or if you manage it yourself, H1 should be what the first content's wrapped in. So if you're a plastic surgeon in Chattanooga, Tennessee, it could be plastic surgeon, Chattanooga, Tennessee. That could be at the very top. And then next it can have testimonials or your services or meet the team, whatever, assuming this is the home page. This sounds obvious, but we see a lot of times people will put at the top of the page instead of the main keyword that someone might search for, something like beauty begins here, things like that. Like those are good, but no one's going to search for that. People are going to search for plastic surgeon, Chattanooga, Tennessee, or plastic surgeon, and Google assumes it's in Chattanooga, Tennessee because they're located in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Having each page really dumbed down and focused at the top of the page on the H1 keyword is a very major part, and the title of the page as well, which would be more the meta title, having that match exactly the keywords that you want to return for. The meta description, if you're using something like WordPress, they have multiple SEO plugins. Yoast is one of the really common ones, and in Yoast you can go into each page of your site and actually edit the meta description and title itself right there. And that meta description and title is not something that your customers will see on your website. It's something that your customers will see in the Google or Bing or Yahoo search result itself. So it's the title of that page and the search results and the description above it. You need to write that in a way that spend some time writing it to where you can draw attention on the actual search page in Google, Yahoo, or Bing. Name, address, and phone number, you'll see it shortened to NAP, N-A-P. That is very crucial to have that consistently across every page. It helps build, satisfy the algorithm for Google. The more pages they can see that, and including the more citations, which we'll get into here on the next page, the more it strengthens your location and helps you return higher in organic search results for Google in the map location and also the top organic location. Blog with ongoing updates and syndication. This is one of the big things that we do. I know it's further down this list, so it may seem like it has less importance. However, every practice should be writing a blog every month. That can be very, that's a lot of work, so it can seem very overwhelming for any practice to say, I'm going to sit down and write a peer-reviewed journal. It doesn't need to be a peer-reviewed journal. In fact, it needs to be written in a way that a fifth grader can read it and understand it. And it could be, a lot of times we can ask the practice provider to give us some sort of quote, something like that we can quote them, and then our team can write an article. You can do this internally yourself as well around that quote, because one of the biggest barriers is getting that service provider of your practice to actually have the time to write these articles. However, once you write them, those need to be syndicated. They need to be pushed out through a syndication engine. We have a main syndication engine that we use that we write a press release on that article or on the company itself. When we reference the article, we reference our website, reviews, Google business profile, all that's attached, and then that company sends it out to your local ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, CNN, so on more of a local level, and they share those as press releases, build links back to your website. You also want to focus on page speed, desktop for desktop and mobile. We've of course already mentioned this, but having your site load really quickly is very important. One of the tips I can give you could do right now very easily, because they automate most of the setup for you, is cloudflare.com. Cloudflare.com will act as what they call a content delivery network, a CDN, and that content delivery network, as they have servers all over the world, the closer that server can be to your potential customer, that decreases latency, that increases your page load speed, it offers you backup, additional security. They have a free model. They also have a next step up, I think is $19.99 a month, so very affordable. They'll automatically route all of your domain name settings, domain name server settings into their system, set up everything for you, and then instantly increase your page load speed. And also author pages attached to the team. Now, we're going to dive into this a little more in a second. I've already kind of mentioned it, but one of the big things, this is the most dramatic algorithm update we've seen from Google in probably 2 decades. Really since people started writing blogs and pushing content as Google was rewarding content. AI has, of course, with ChatGPT-4 and all kinds of other services similar to it out there now, content is just flooding the market. It's flooding the internet. So now Google has to try to understand what content is sincere, what content has experience, expertise, authority, and trust. One way they're doing that is the experience part. And as we'll look at in one of the next slides, the experience tells them that the author of this article on their website and then that should link to an author page. Ideally, it'd be the main service provider, owner, operator, depending on how your practice is set up, have their own page with their board accreditations, how long they've been working, a full bio, even links to a LinkedIn profile, accreditation sites, peer-reviewed journals, all of that. Google is actually smart enough to crawl that now and then look and see which one actually has authority and rewarding those sites that do that correctly. That was a lot. On-page SEO is a lot. Off-page SEO is much easier. For off-page SEO, we're looking more at claiming and optimizing Google My Business listings. That's mainly done manually. You can do it through sites or companies like Yext, but you want to focus on getting that Google My Business listing optimized. We'll cover that in the next section, actually, as that has a lot of value. That can get you in the Google Maps results area, and having that optimized is a very big deal. So if you haven't claimed and optimized, verified, we just saw another realm of updates come through where a lot of our clients have been around for a long time were requested to verify again. Some of them actually had to send a video in walking through their practice from the outside, showing a nearby street sign, walking in, using the keys, and they actually suggested this. Use your own keys to open the door, go in, show us some machinery. They're getting much more savvy about making sure that the Google business listings are accurate and that they're real. So if you haven't, log in, check out Google My Business, make sure your business listing for your practice is claimed, optimized, and verified. Next, make sure you get lots of citations across the web. So there's multiple citation engines you can use for this, Yext, Bright Local, companies like that you can sign up for. We put our clients on a multitude of those sites, and ideally you want at least 100 citations. If you're asking yourself, what are citations? Citations are Google My Business is a citation. Yahoo is a citation. Bing is a citation. Yelp, Yellow Pages, and the list keeps going. And there are many that are specific to your industry as well, as far as healthcare websites that will list your business, your name, business name, phone number, address, website, all of that. Having as many citations as possible can help build that validity to Google, prove you have more trust, and return your site higher in the search results. Building up online reviews and leveraging best-in-class tools. So there's multiple tools for online reviews. We actually built this into our own CRM that we use that's HIPAA compliant. So once someone checks out, the front desk person can go in, click on their account, click request review, they get an email and text message. You can always use one of these other sites to do this as well. Podium is a very common one. It's working really well. It actually attaches to a lot of point of sale systems now as well. So out of all of those, I would say Podium, or of course our own CRM, I'm biased about. But if you don't want to adopt a whole new CRM, there's multiple review platforms that you can use to get more reviews. You definitely want to increase that rate of reviews, and it needs to be a consistent amount of frequency, the reviews that you're receiving. And then strategic content syndication. We mentioned this in the last page of on-page SEO, where you're writing a blog article. When that blog article is written, has an author, validating, verifying that the author has experience. We take that article and then we can syndicate that, meaning that we'll write a press release around it, link back to it, and there's actually multiple tips and tricks to this. We have a whole nother webinar on this actually, to where you can link to Google Business. In your Google Business profile, for instance, there's a section for writing articles and linking those articles to your website. We can link in the press releases to those articles in Google Business profile, or to specific reviews, or to other pages on your website, to articles that were published by you in another journal. And then we push those press releases out to other sites that have higher domain authority. Domain authority means how Google ranks those sites we're pushing out to, and typically news sites rank as one of the highest because they have more trust. As they link back to your site, that will help build that SEO and help your site and company return higher in Google Map results and organic SEO results. So, as I mentioned, a simple blog post on your site simply won't cut it anymore. And what I mean by that is that with this new algorithm, double E is what they call this. Originally, Oddly enough, it was just EAT, E-A-T, and that was expertise, authority, and trust. Trust is the main thing that Google wants. If you're Google as a business, they want to make sure that a customer of any service, when they come to google.com and they search for whatever it is they're looking for, that they get the most credible service or product, whatever it may be, research, delivered to them in the most credible way possible. So the ones at the top are the ones that perform the best, that have the most amount of happy customers, and so on. But what's happened is ChatGPT-4 and multiple other AI content writing machines have come out, and they've flooded the market with all this content. You've probably seen a lot of the articles. We use as a company from time to time in certain places, and it helps. It's a tool I suggest every company use because it can help. However, there has to be a human element in making sure that writing is done in a way, because they can crawl for that now and understand if it's actually ChatGPT or not, and that can actually deduct points. But also, they want to make sure that whoever wrote that article is proven to have experience. And so experience, like I've already mentioned and alluded to, ideally it's a team page, so it can be yourpracticesname.com/team/ the main service provider, owner, CEO, whatever their title is. And then when you click on that, there needs to be a page with their name, and on that page there needs to be a full bio, so their whole background, where they went to school, where they were practiced as a fellow, or whatever they did after school, when they started their practice, what seminars they've taught at, webinars they've had, journal entries they've had, whatever it may be, accreditations, all of that needs to be written out, documented, and even linked to the other external sites if possible, as Google is now crawling these pages and making sure that whoever is writing these articles on the site has an author that actually has experience. So that's how we're trying to validate with this flood of content from artificial intelligence and the AI writing. They're trying to validate it through the experience of the author. This is something we're now going back and having to do for all of our clients. It's been time intensive, but it's something that has to be done moving forward. If you don't have this, definitely need to have this. The expertise, so quality, structured, media-rich content, meaning that quality, it doesn't need to be quality, and this is if you've used ChatGPT or similar, a lot of times the content they put out, it reads very interesting. They'll use words that just don't seem very common to you, or at least to me. Of course, Google and these search engines can pick up on that. Not only that, Google has already said they reward content that is easily read by a 5th grader. So it doesn't mean you need to dumb down your entire practice and make it silly. However, it needs to be very easy to read content. Authority, this is touching on the off-page SEO. When you're syndicating your content and you're publishing it on your local ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, those sort of news sites, linking, pushing that content out, having them link back to your site, to your reviews, to your Google business profile, your journal articles, whatever it may be, that helps build your authority, helps build those link backs, and that's going to ultimately, the main thing Google wants is trust. They want to pass trust and PageRank with link signals and give implied trust to your site. So we have an SEO checklist you can also download. If you go to aestheticmarketingpartners.com, it will go through this content. You can download that checklist there, give it to someone in your practice. You can use it yourself if you're the owner-operator. All of this is, for the most part, stuff you can do yourself. You have a little bit of savvy, say with your website, a little bit of savvy with Google Business Listing. You could quickly even do some Google search on these suggested checklist items and knock these out with either yourself or an internal team member. Of course, we're always happy to help you with that as well, and it's something that we go through all of these in our 30-minute free consultation, and happy to do that for you. Whew, almost there. I better hurry up. Number 3, optimize for Google Maps. So does Google Maps matter? Now, we kind of showed this same screen earlier, but the difference earlier is that we had 71% of all clicks and calls come from Google Maps, as well as organic SEO. Once we take the top organic SEO out of it, 44% of clicks and calls come from Google Maps area. So yes, Google Maps really matters, especially because, like I mentioned before, it's not the paid like you see above up here with the sponsored content where they're actually paying for that click to be there. Google Maps is free. So the biggest changes in Google Maps. First, they reduce the results from 7 to 3. Sometimes you see 4. Don't know why that is. I guess it depends on how much competition you have and what size city, but it's between 3 to 4, but they've lowered it from 7 to 3 or 4. Google is now serving paid ads in map results. They've been doing that for a little while, but if you weren't aware of that, that's something that can be worth investing in. Google Business Profile now offers live chat. Now, why I mentioned the Google Business Profile here, in fact, a lot of what we're going to talk about is Google Business Profile, is that the Google Business Profile for your practice is absolutely crucial to have that optimized. And what we're seeing now is basically every month there are constant updates and they give you suggestions. And I'll show you where those suggestions sit in one of these next slides coming up, and how you or your team member internally can make small updates, such as they constantly request when there's a holiday coming up. So we have, was it Labor Day? Labor Day coming up. I always get Memorial Day and Labor Day confused. With Labor Day coming up, it's going to ask, what are your Labor Day hours? Are you open, closed? Consistently updating your hours when they request that is going to show that you have more attention to detail with Google Business, your Google Business Profile, and what Google suggests, and is going to automatically give you another notch up on your competitors. It's amazing how many don't do that, how many don't update their business hours, add live chat. All the suggestions, like the next one here, Google Business Profile now suggests adding a map to your site. So it's one of the suggestions that they give you is embed a map. You can embed a map from Google right into the contact page of your site or even into the footer, and that can help strengthen your organic SEO and the map result. And then more rewards for additional signals. So signals coming from reviews, signals coming from your Google Business Profile article itself. You're getting more rewards for those signals now. So you can see here, for those that aren't exactly sure what I'm talking about, although I'm sure you've probably all seen this in other services, or even when you do a search versus you and the competitors, Google Ads come first, followed by Google My Business or Google Map Results, which is what we're focused on in this section, followed by organic SEO. The part that's kind of hard to understand, or where the water gets a little muddy, is that Google My Business, aka the Map Results section, and organic SEO, they're very closely related. There's a difference though, obviously being the proximity of that person searching to your actual practice location. And there's ways to get around that, like we mentioned earlier, with city pages on your website, building reviews from that, say if you're giving a service in Cleveland, Tennessee, or somewhere outside of your practice area, you can help build reviews that have those keywords in the reviews. You know, there's multiple tricks you can do to get around it, but typically it's a proximity to your actual location itself. So what could be hurting your ranking on Google Maps? First, you need an office in the city you're targeting to rank well on Google Maps. If you're using some sort of remote office, UPS box, things like that, they've picked that up as spam now, and they don't return your business. If you're a smaller practice, say laser hair removal only, we've had plenty of those come across our company, and they'll operate sometimes remotely. And they'll just select in Google Business Profile as a location, so an area location as opposed to physical address. When you do that, it's going to lower your results and not be inclined to show you in the actual Google Map results. So having a real location is definitely key. No P.O. boxes at all. Did you ever try to spam Google with fake locations? Like I just mentioned, definitely don't do that. If you did, I would close those previous fake locations. And then having an inconsistent name, address, phone number, that's the NAP talked about. You want those across not just Google, but all of your citations. So as you start building your citation list with Google, Bing, Yahoo, Yelp, Yellow Pages, the list keeps going into all these sites that you've probably never even heard of. Most of them I haven't heard of, nor does anyone really use. But as you get those up to 100 plus, you want to make sure that you have a consistent name, address, phone number across all those citation listings. You make sure you don't spam your city and company name or category. So whatever your practice name is, Chattanooga, Tennessee, if it's not your practice name, if Chattanooga, Tennessee wasn't in it, or Atlanta, Georgia, whatever it is, don't do that, because Google picks that up, reads that, marks it as spam, they feel like you're trying to trick the system, and they'll change it. Sorry, not change it. They will lower your results in your ranking. And then you want to make sure, do you have enough reviews across the web? Ideally in Google Business Profile. We used to send a lot of reviews elsewhere, Yelp and these other sites, Facebook, those sort of sites can be beneficial, but not to the same power of Google. Google is the main search engine people are using, and returning for a local result in that map listing, you need as many reviews as possible focused in Google Business Reviews. So we've mentioned the business profile trust signals, and there's, what this means basically is, let's look at verification here. So I mentioned earlier that verification is something that they've really started pushing. They've always had verification, but typically in the past it was like they will call your phone number, or they'll mail you something that comes in the mail, the postcard for instance, if you get an email. But now we're looking at live video recording, a video verification live with a Google rep, and even double verified, multiple of these. Ideally, if everyone can get double verified, the more trust Google is going to have in you. However, I don't know of a way right now to request that. It's typically checking into your Google Business Profile settings and back end and seeing if you need to be verified or not. The video verification, higher up the list here, the more trust Google has in your business, and the higher you're going to return in the Google Map listing. Total number of reviews, discuss that, it's very important. The review velocity. So what we see a lot is people will manually ask for reviews. They'll do that for 30, 60, 90 days, and they'll get really busy. And then it drops off. That doesn't get rewarded as well as even less reviews, but on a routine, consistent basis, to where you have review velocity spread out 12 months. Every 12 months, you're having a similar sort of number of reviews. Google looks for spam in reviews, so that's one thing they're always watching. If you have a high influx of reviews out of nowhere and then a massive drop-off, you're going to be more inclined to think that maybe you spammed it with fake reviews. If you've been recently unsuspended, you're actually going to rank higher because they've had to go through verification method of some kind, possibly double verification. That will actually help your result in Google Maps. I wouldn't suggest going and getting suspended. However, if you have been, it's actually a good thing. Back-end engagement, meaning, and we'll go over this here in a second, routinely updating and uploading images of your practice, services, offers, before and afters, that sort of thing. Updating info, holiday hours, like we mentioned, replying to reviews. All of those are very crucial and very important and can help your Google Map listing. And then make sure your profile is completed. And we'll show in the next slide, there's suggestions on how to complete that and make it 100% complete. You want to keep it in the green. As updates come out, you'll see it drop from the green back to yellow or orange, showing that you need to update based on their requirements. One of the other areas that help in Google Map results is local link strategies. So local sponsorships, if you sponsor any sort of local teams, this can be beneficial. Like if you're in Chattanooga, Tennessee, you're sponsoring a team in Cleveland, Tennessee, 35 miles away, link to their site, have them link back to yours, mention that somewhere on your page. That can have a lot of benefits to it. You can host local community event, base event in a very specific season. We'll do this typically, well, in the past, we used to do this more in my specialty agency. We actually help them put these events on. Now with the set of marketing partners, we make the suggestions because we work all over the country now and can't be there to help them with it. However, like a Christmas open house party, New Year's, Valentine's, any sort of event like that, it's a reason, an excuse to have an event, especially during the winter time. So Thanksgiving can be a great one because you're potentially right before holiday photos, so kind of last minute Botox fillers, that sort of thing, but having that local community event, spreading that event on Google Business Profile, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever, those links will help. Create a local resource page. So where we see this apply is where you potentially have out-of-town patients coming in. Especially for more invasive procedures, to where they might be spending 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days recovering. A lot of people want to have a getaway, go somewhere else, make sure they don't see anyone as they're bandaged up, as they're recovering from whatever they had. they might have a getaway. This could be a great place for you to have a local resource page as to a local hotel, boutique hotel, local Airbnbs you suggest, local restaurants that deliver, maybe even just restaurants that you suggest the night before or whenever it may be, 2 nights before. That can be a great way to link to that. Ask them, that can build links out, and I would build that in your proximity to your location as well to help that Google Map result. You can sponsor a scholarship. That's something that can be beneficial, especially if they link back to your company. Pitch guest posts to local sites in your area. For us, it'd be like Chattanoogan.com, Nougat.com, 6am City, those sort of sites, and write guest posts for them and have them link back to your site. And then host an interview with a local celebrity. This is where we get more in the influencer level. So Instagram, TikTok, for maybe some of the younger, less evasive procedures, TikTok can apply. But having local influencers, bring them in, have them do a video of them getting Botox, fillers, whatever it may be, that can help you build those local links. So this is the section where I mentioned we would go into Google Business Profile and some of these updates. So here, this is the actual view you will get. So as you're logged in, you'll see what suggestions they have. So here at the bottom, you have get more reviews, create an offer, June performance is ready, you have add photos. Ideally, what you want to do is add photos every month here. Here you can see the profile strength looks good. We've gone through and done these sort of things. Every month we're creating an offer, getting more reviews, adding photos, and increasing that result. Also need to look at your services that you offer. Make sure that they're properly documented in the services section of your Google Business Profile. If you're a cosmetic surgeon also has a med spa, you need to have multiple services. From one of the last webinars we did on SEO, last I looked, the best returning practice has an average of 4.8 services. So you have your primary category, what is the main thing you focus on? Plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery, med spa. Then you have subcategories under it, and then you'll have an additional category. And then subcategories and additional category. Ideally, you want 4.8 average is the best returning Google Map listing for categories. So 4.8 category average shows the best. If you get 4 or 5 of them, I think either one you'd be fine. Google Business Profile best practices. Update your photos like I mentioned, add them on a consistent basis. Leverage Google Posts by posting at least once every 30 days. You can post that right in your Google Business Profile and link that back to your site. Create a local resource page. Mention a number of businesses that your customers might see as a resource. Respond to reviews. That's very important as well. Whenever someone leaves a review on Google, make sure you respond to it. And then answer questions that get posted. There's a Q&A section in Google Business now. Answer those questions as soon as you get them. Some of the tools I mentioned, Bright Local, Yext is a big one. Yext has a direct API, meaning they've built the connection between everything from Apple and Alexa and Google and Bing, Yahoo, etc. As soon as you update your company name in Yext and all the details, it pushes it out to all of those. So Yext is one of the main ones we use in combination with a couple others like Bright Local. But any of those platforms do a pretty solid job. If you'd like to see where your current citation list is and where there's opportunity, we also offer that during our 30-minute consultation where we give you a full marketing report, show your current citation list, opportunities there, and can tell you more about what it takes to get that done for you or make suggestions for you to do it yourself. Citations best practice. Let's manually claim and optimize Google Business Profile like we discussed. Use a tool like Yext. Make sure you've got at least 50 citations. Ideally, we look for 100 plus using multiple platforms. If you use one of the I think that they call it the Pro or Ultimate Yext. That's about 60 of them is what we normally see from there, and then we add another 40 to 50 through other services. Get listed major data aggregators. It's definitely a very important thing to do as they can continue to push that data out to more sites, and then leverage a tool like you mentioned. So obviously 4 to 5 star reviews help in multiple ways, but you probably don't know that the keywords themselves in the reviews can help that local map pack. So there's multiple signals tied to each review that is left for your practice in Google Business. So I would definitely request your reviews be posted there versus a Yelp, Facebook, other site. It increases the number of conversions that occur when you have a greater than 4-star rating. Glowing reviews become marketing link opportunities. This can be beautifully designed content that's in a print piece from your front desk to the homepage of your website, wherever. It's ideally in every page of your website. It could be right before the footer, just to help build that trust. And it makes a local business appear more credible, of course, to current potential customers. Strategy for driving consistent reviews. We want to leverage tools to request reviews after every service call. Leave a printed review card. Train your techs in-house to plant the seed and deliver a world-class experience. This is very crucial and something that we see overlooked a lot. You need to train your front desk to make sure that they are requesting a review, and you can have that printed review card right there. And then, of course, add that to, if you have a CRM or some sort of review system like Podium, a request that's done by text message and email. You can even call them afterwards to walk through the review process. And then, of course, building reviews and recognition into your company culture is a very crucial part to help make sure that you're consistently gathering reviews. All right, so that says 4, should be 5. Leverage a HIPAA compliant, it is 4. I gotta speed up. Leverage HIPAA compliant CRM. The biggest marketing issue facing plastic cosmetic surgery practices is unconverted leads. So 89% of consumers say they prefer texting with businesses over any other mode of communication. More than 95% of text messages are read within 5 minutes of receipt. According to a study by InsideSales.com, 35 to 50% of sales go to the vendor that responds first. That's a huge data point. Research indicates that companies that automate their lead nurturing process experience a 10% or greater increase in revenue of 6 to 9 months. Some very big numbers. Out of total inbound leads, 50 to 60% leave unconverted. So that's leads that are coming through maybe from your website or an ad or something like that. 50 to 60% on average nationally leave unconverted. 90% of all web forms fail to convert. The web form goes somewhere, no one responds to it. It takes them a week to respond. Their follow-up is subpar. It doesn't have standard operating procedures in their follow-up routine, so on. So here's why. Leads are not followed up within 15 minutes, go cold. The average customer must be followed up with 5 to 7 times before booking. There's a lot of competition out there, even in small cities. These are popping up everywhere. The current industry, I think, is sitting right around $65 to $80 billion a year in the United States. By 2030, they're showing 360 plus billion in revenue within this industry. Competition's popping up everywhere. So you need a lot of outreach. Even once someone's reached out to you, you need a lot of follow-up with them. And today's consumers, they prefer to interact via text message versus phone call or email. Now, this is kind of a balancing act because sometimes text message can get too spammy, but whenever you're dealing with a consumer who's actively looking for your service or product, it's typically better received that way. Here's a solution. You want to leverage marketing automation to follow up with web forms, phone calls, any sort of interaction, live chats, with email or text messages in the first 2 minutes. And you want to automate that follow-up so that every prospect is touched 5+ times and able to engage via two-way text messaging. It's absolutely crucial. So if we look at the same amount of leads and all we do is increase the conversion rate because of that follow-up. With no follow-up, average national conversion rate, which this is actually kind of high as being generous, 30%, you're looking at 30 jobs and potential opportunity of $90,000 in potential patients. On the right side, same amount of leads. I know this is very simple math and very obvious, but when you increase that conversion rate with an automated follow-up, based on the stats we just read, you can bump up to 70% opportunity there, $210,000 opportunity for that month. Now, this is actually a screenshot of what our CRM looks like. There's others out there, so I'm not going to hard sell you on this one. We built a HIPAA compliant CRM to where you have a dashboard. You can monitor conversations, calendars, your contacts, and your opportunities. You can give access to multiple people within your practice for this dashboard, and we can build out for you the different opportunity mediums that people can use. So whether they're coming from a new lead for surgical, or they called in, or it's an ad on Facebook, Instagram, pay-per-click, and that way not only can you help move those people through your nurturing process all the way to them becoming a patient and paying, you can also request a review at the end of it. Nice thing is, of course, we grade this out because this is an actual screenshot of it, but you can have conversations in here from Instagram, Facebook, Google Business Profile, your website, live chat, text messages, and you can communicate with them right here. In this case, this was an actual text message from that little green box beside it, and they were texting back and forth, communicating about the upcoming procedure that they're wanting to have. You can see where the opportunity came from here, and keep track of their entire sales process, all the way to the point of conversion, help get those analytics, and show what ad converted, what your SEO investments converted, and what's working and what's not. Kind of flew through that one, but I didn't want it to seem like too much of a hard sell. However, the CRM portion is something that when you're ready to really push growth in your practice, especially considering busy season, it's one to keep in mind. If you don't have one now, I highly suggest investing in one. Number 5, we want to utilize digital advertising. So, first thing to talk about quickly is, there's 5 main stages of your patient's journey. Recognition of need, information search, evaluation of alternatives, purchase decision, and post-purchase evaluation. And there's multiple places we can advertise really at every one of these. Now, once they've made the purchase, great, you don't technically have to sell many. I mean, that could be upsells, to be honest. But understanding where your patient is and then building your ad campaign within the right platform to target that stage of consumer purchase. So one of the main two platforms that we see working well for practices like yours, Google Ads and pay-per-click, and Facebook and Instagram ads. Now, there's differences between both of these, obviously. For Google Ads, you're going to see this more in the recognition of needs section. So more in the information search and evaluation of alternatives section. So they've already recognized they have a need, and they're wanting to learn more about who has Botox or does breast dog or the best mommy makeovers or whatever it may be. So you can advertise to consumers with Google pay-per-click ads as they're actively looking for your services. This is why we suggest to all of our customers have Google pay-per-click ads running for their targeted services, that they have a good profitability. The reason I mentioned good profitability is you may not want to advertise, and buy a keyword for every service you have if it's not something you really have the ability to A, take on more patients, and B, make good money with it. So advertising for consumers that are actively looking for your profitable services. Purchase those keywords relative to your exact services. You can target that age, target city or suburb. I will say one of the negatives to Google Ads and doing it yourself is that the learning curve is quite steep. They do have Google Ads Express, I believe is what they call it now. We don't use that one. We use like the Advanced Pro model because it gives us the ability to critique and edit off every facet of Google Ads, pay-per-click ads. But I believe the Express model is still pretty easy to use. However, there are certain areas you still focus on, mainly negative keywords. I would focus on your bid strategy of maximizing clicks until conversions occur. So you don't want to go to maximize conversions if you don't have any conversions. Ideally start with a bid strategy of maximizing conversions. Make sure your conversion tracking is set up correctly, meaning someone clicks on an ad, they land on your site, they fill out a form, that's a conversion. Or they click a phone number, that's a conversion. That needs to show Google Ads that ad click worked. Until then, keep it as maximizing clicks. And also, this is just a side note, but we've experienced this here, quite a bit over the last year, for whatever reason. Certain customers of ours will have access to their Google Ads, which is totally fine. We actually set it up to where they can, they own it. So if they want to move on at some point, bring it in-house, they can take it and move on. But Google wants to spend your money freely. And the suggestions they make, like they have an optimization score, kind of like their Google Business Profile does. And when you log into Google Ads, if you're setting up yourself, it will suggest you to do all these things. Increase your budget, buy more. There's different keyword types like a phrase match, exact match, and broad match. Most of the time, broad match is complete trash because they want to sell your keyword in a broad way to any sort of search keyword that might be similar. So just be cautious on what Google suggests if you don't have much experience there. And I keep it very simplified. Now on Facebook, Instagram, this is, like we mentioned earlier, more in the recognition of need is where you can start with Facebook and Instagram. I'll use myself as an example here. When I was turning 30, late 20s, early 30s, I started noticing more wrinkles and that sort of stuff coming up. And so I started becoming more aware just from looking at myself in the mirror that I might need to learn about retinol and having a moisturizer and these sort of skincare routine to keep me from looking too old too quick. Now, as I'm approaching 40, I'm starting to realize that, hey, maybe I need some Botox, maybe some fillers. This stuff's starting to look kind of bad. And as I look at myself in Zoom here, I'm like, starting to look old man. So this recognition of need is something that you can get in front of and start running these ads to your target age on Facebook and Instagram. Now, we see these ads work best as videos. So ideally a video, and it doesn't have to be a perfect movie quality ad. It can be just a simple webcam, iPhone, something like that of one of your service providers, maybe with a little quick behind the scenes. You could put some words on it. There's simple platforms like iMovie on your computer. If you have an Apple product or whatever the Windows version of that is that you can use to edit this. Very easy to do, and you could have a quick video ad to sell your services and get in front of that potential customer as they're recognizing the need for your services. Nice thing about Facebook and Instagram ads, you can also engage with your customers in the comments section. Campaigns that incentivize sharing can become viral. That's something that we see work with certain incentives. So used to be, this doesn't work as well anymore, but share, comment, tag your friends, and get entered to blah, 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 blah. Those get a little cheesy and it kind of got redundant, but some campaigns have the potential to go viral versus a Google Ads pay-per-click ad won't go viral. Utilizing remarketing tracking codes can help you custom tailor your message for repeat business. So remarketing tracking code, that pretty much exists on every platform you advertise on. So Google Ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, TikTok, LinkedIn. That's a code that once they visited your site, you can run an ad campaign just to show your ad to someone that visited your website. We do this for our customers, and it's definitely worth investment because now you're showing to a smaller group. It's tailored to be someone that's interested in your exact services and more than likely in your service area. And it's someone who's probably in that recognition of need and they're doing their research, maybe they're evaluating your competitors. The more times that you can show up and seem omnipresent to them, meaning that you're going across multiple channels, the more trust they'll have in your practice. Facebook suggests, this between Facebook and Instagram, 2 to 10 million an audience performs the best. You can target age, gender, city, interest, that sort of thing. But ideally you want your group to be between 2 to 10 million. That can be tough to reach for some of these smaller cities, smaller suburbs. That's just what they suggest. So lookalike audience lets you target new potential patients based on your current patients. So you can upload a list to that. They can analyze that list and then actually target patients just like your current patients through Facebook and Instagram. So how to measure success? First, this is a very important part because a lot of people will just turn on ads and be like, well, how much converted? Like, I don't know. How much do you spend? They know that part, but they don't know how much it made them. So you want to make sure you set up conversion tracking codes for both platforms or for any platform that you use for advertising and have those conversion tracking codes working and make sure that they're working in your Google Analytics as well. So not only do you want to see conversion rate in Facebook, Instagram, Google pay-per-click ads, but also in Google Analytics so you can get a holistic view of how everything you're doing is converting. You need to automate the follow-up so every prospect is touched 5+ times. Now this isn't really, I mention this because it's not really measuring success. However, it's a part of your success that people overlook. So once you get that lead, you still have a whole nother step. So you've got the lead in, right? Great. Now you have to convert that lead. So if you don't get that process into some sort of standard operating procedure to where your team or your automation is ready to really get that lead into a patient, then that's going to throw your numbers off when it comes time to compare return on investment. Set up Google Analytics to measure conversion tracking. Already mentioned this, but ideally we want to focus on form submissions, click to dial phone numbers, directions requested, live chat, buying products, booking a procedure online, if you have that ability. All of those should have conversion tracking set up to track those. Just for relevance, national average on Google pay-per-click ads is 3.75%. For our clients, we try to always be above 8%. We've seen as high as about 18%, depending on market, competition, so on. But if you're above 3.75%, you can feel good that you're doing better than the national average. And then average for Facebook, Instagram ads is 9.21%. So a little bit higher conversion rate there for Facebook and Instagram. How much should I spend on advertising? We get this a lot, but the main thing you want to think through is what is the total opportunity available to your practice for the service you're trying to sell, or for the product you're trying to sell if you're running ads for selling your products. It's something that a lot of practices don't think of, and they just know they need to grow and they put money out there. But really coming up with a calculation on, we have this many time slots available over the next quarter for surgery or for a medical procedure, whatever it may be. What's the maximum amount of opportunity available for each of those services, and then making sure that you understand the opportunity, and then pick a number. If you don't know and have nothing to start from, pick a number. Typically, like U.S. Small Business Administration suggests spending 7 to 8% of total revenue for marketing advertising. So if you have an opportunity of $500,000 in the final quarter of this year, then you can pick 7 to 8% of that, and be 3.5 to 4%. And and that will give you your advertising dollars. So 7 to 8% of total revenue for $500,000. That was bad math. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's been a long webinar. Next time I'm going to do 4 instead of 5, I think. I suggest starting small with a comfortable amount that wouldn't affect your business negatively if it doesn't convert. This is important for the smaller practice, especially where we're still trying to get that volume. We're still trying to get that velocity of repeat visitors. I wouldn't stretch yourself in advertising because there's a learning curve to it, especially if you're doing it yourself. But even with an agency, we ask for 12-month contracts for all of our clients because it takes time to adjust the ad campaigns to resonate within your target audience, within your specific geographic area versus your competitors. So don't stretch yourself on advertising budget. 7 to 8% is the suggested amount. Use analytics to determine which campaign is actually creating more profit for your practice. We discussed that. Once you realize which is actually creating more profit for your practice, then start investing more money there until it slows. The reason I say until it slows is because eventually these ads will drop off. They'll slow down, and you need to run different ads. Your audience has seen them enough times. That was a long one today. I hope that was helpful and beneficial. If you need help with this, if you need consultation, you can go to email me at sam@aestheticmarketingpartners.com or go to go.aestheticmarketingpartners.com and book a time on my calendar with me. During that time, we have a 30-minute free consultation that we offer. We have a digital marketing report. We go over, look at your competitors, how you rate against them, areas of opportunity between citations, website updates, reviews, so on.
Couple questions.
Yeah, let's see what we got question-wise. Okay, so one question we have is, said that's very helpful. Came from Annie. I'm glad it's helpful. Is it possible to apply this new formula ourselves without having any SEO expert? So that's a great question. Depending on what platform you're on, so the majority of the internet right now is on WordPress. So if you're on a WordPress website, or it could be something like Joomla, Drupal, Squarespace, Wix, those all have a fairly easy to use interface that you can log into. If you have someone who, like say a webmaster of some kind who built your website, they should be able to give you access to that. And you could go in, if it was built correctly, like in WordPress, you should be able to look at each page and change the content right there. You can always test the page in WordPress and see how it looks before you publish any of those updates live. That's something I really suggest, especially when you're changing like main H1 titles, that sort of thing. But yes, you can work on this yourself. I definitely focus on writing content and publishing that content in your site and putting it on your Google business profile. And then the Google Maps suggestions, specifically the Google business profile updates and how they affect Google Map listing now. That's one of the area of lowest hanging fruit I personally see that has a very easy interface to use, meaning you log into Google business profile, you follow their suggestions for your practice right there. That can give you a lot of organic SEO results in that map listing, which has 44% of total clicks in the first page of Google. So that's the area I would suggest to look at. We have, it was extremely helpful. That's good. Which is your preferred platform for social media marketing? That's a great question. So for social media marketing, Facebook and Instagram, we used to offer that as a service to where we would post for the companies. But what I see being more beneficial, especially as we're working with practices all across the country, is not to have an external company try to create content that feels fake for your practice. You can have some content that goes out there, for instance, that's maybe stamped out by your agency or by someone internally, that's an offer or a discount or something like that. However, having real authentic content, and typically it's just having an iPhone, and having someone, especially for those practices that are doing invasive procedures where you have to be scrubbed in, that's a great place to do behind the scenes. And you can't really get someone from another company in there. Like, that needs to be someone internally. But behind the scenes with Instagram stories, Snapchat can work for the younger demographic, TikTok for the really young demographic that are looking more into the non-invasive. So that's going to be Botox, not really fillers, Botox, skin treatments, that sort of thing. Maybe into invasive surgery, you get like early 20s, so that's more like Snapchat, late TikTok. Facebook and Instagram still work well for advertising, but definitely having stories in Facebook and Instagram is very powerful. Alexander says, "Hi, this is so helpful. Thanks. I'm glad it was helpful. If patients submit forms on your website, do you recommend they receive an automated response right after?" Yes, I definitely recommend that. So we saw in that stat, I forgot the stat now, whatever, so many stats, but a significant increase in conversion rate for those that are looking for your service. They fill out a form and they get an automated text message and or email, ideally even phone call. That's something that you really don't see a lot. It's something I didn't discuss too much in here because it's assuming you have the availability of a front desk person to actually pick up the phone and call them. There's other ways you can look at that with subbing that out to someone who just calls people back for you, gets their information, tries to help convert them into a lead. But a phone call kind of stands out now because you don't see that a lot. Text message is still number one preferred, but ideally, if you're really looking to fill your calendar and grow your practice, I would do all three: phone call, text message, and email as soon as they submit a form. And then Annie says, Google ads or Facebook ads better for investment? That's a great question. Well, we saw in that national average conversion rate, Google was at 3.75% and Facebook, Instagram were at 9.21%. Facebook ads, the only barrier to entry you have is creating the ad, making sure you think through the title of it, the content, the description, and then really ideally it needs to be a video. So taking the time to put a video together that sells the product or service you're trying to sell. Running that as a Facebook and Instagram ad can be really powerful. It has a higher conversion rate nationally. If it was me, I would probably adjust my total. Say you have $2,000 a month to spend on ad buy, just for a random number. Let's make it 10 for easy number. And you're roughly 3 times the amount of conversions from Facebook and Instagram, so I would adjust that accordingly. So maybe you start with $7,000 a month in Facebook, Instagram ads, and then $3,000 a month in Google pay-per-click ads. Ideally, being in both can be great. The other variable to consider there is how your current organic SEO is. For companies that already have a really strong organic SEO, meaning that they return high in Google map listing, map results, as well as the first organic SEO results, they don't have to invest as much in Google pay-per-click ads. Unless they're targeting outside of their city, they just open a new practice location, something like that, that can be worth increasing that investment. Now, for newer practices that just started that don't have a lot of organic SEO, then having a higher investment pay-per-click ads can help offset that and get those people that are already know they need your service and they're evaluating competitors or trying to find a service provider, give them the ability to find you at the top of the page. And Eliza says, what a fantastic webinar. I got to learn so many amazing things. Oh, thanks, Eliza. All right, well, that was a lot of talking. I don't think I'm going to talk for the rest of the week. Actually, I have a webinar tomorrow. But thanks so much for everyone who attended. If you watched it live, I appreciate you sitting through this whole thing. If you're watching it later, hopefully this has benefit. We'll have another webinar next month. We're also giving a webinar next week and tomorrow to the American Academy of Cosmetic Surgeons. So if you're on this one, we'll actually be showing a more abbreviated version. We'll have that available on our website as well. So if you don't want to watch this full thing, you can watch the short one. Hopefully this is beneficial, and look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye-bye.